Hi, welcome to English 1A. My name is Kimberly Escamilla, and I'm very excited to get started in talking with you about the class and our texts and kind of how we're going to do things this quarter for the next 6 weeks. It'll be very short but intense. So as we work through, you might be feeling like, oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? If you saw this good movie. Or you might be thinking, okay, I will survive. Or you might be very zen about the whole thing and feeling like you're going to accomplish this and there's no problem. So however you're feeling right now, I wanted to reach out and say, I understand and I'm here. You can always call or text me like I mentioned in the previous video. And I can also set up conferences, online conferences with you or in person. So I want you to feel supported if nothing else. So for this lecture, I'm going to talk a little bit about the posts you're going to be making and some guidelines, talk about the theme a little bit and how you're going to get started with the course. So the first thing on the syllabus, if you haven't reviewed it yet, some basics that are probably important for you is there's a diagnostic that I'm going to grade, and that's basically I'm going to ask you to read the introduction to the book, Whistling Vivaldi, and to write a summary of it, a 1 to 2 page summary. There are instructions online on Canvas on how to do that, and that will help me assess your reading and thinking and organizational abilities. And then we'll have Essay 1 about Whistling Vivaldi. You're going to be looking at all these studies that they talk about. It's a really interesting book, actually, and applying it to your own experience of stereotype threat, and I can help you figure that out if you struggle with figuring out what that would be. And then the second essay we're going to read, and I removed the full-length book for the second essay and replaced it with a longer essay, and that you're going to read in groups and discuss, and it's about reparations. And so we're going to read it for the purpose of looking at argument strategies and to analyze it for that. And then the third essay, you're going to do some research on racial profiling and or police use of force. We're going to kind of dig into that topic. And then you'll have a reflection essay that I'll set up. Whoops, sorry. And then I do allow 2 revisions on the Whistling Vivaldi and reparations essay, but not for the final essay on the research paper, and not on, unless you turn it in really early and there's a problem, I might let you do it, but if it was in later, I wouldn't, and not for the diagnostic, because that's just an assessment for me to see how you're doing. If you do need to revise, you have a 1 week time period to do so, and again, it's only 6 weeks, so it's pretty tight, so you can't really be behind on all of that. The new and the old grade are average when you revise, so that's important to know. And then I do also offer 1 late pass, and that's no questions asked. 1 assignment could be 1 week late, up to 1 week late, just because things happen, and I want you to have that option. And just so you know, with these slides, they're available in PDF form to review in the module. So when you work your way through each module, you'll see the slides as we go posted there. Okay, so in case you want to review them without the video. Some other things on the syllabus is I have an office at Foothill College. I know some of you aren't local, but if you are, I'll be teaching there Monday through Friday from 10:30 to 12:50, and I'll be there basically before and after every class. So if you want to make an appointment with me, just come in. I also am going to do the online conferences during that time, primarily from 1 to 2 in that time period. They probably won't be an hour-long conference, but I will be available to review anything that you want me to review, and we can do it online together. So let me know if you're interested in that, or if you're interested in that and that time doesn't work, let me know. Again, call, email, or text anytime. My phone number is there. And if you're emailing me for direct questions that are kind of longer, go ahead and do that for my Foothill email. If you have a quick question and somehow want me to look at something and you only use Google Docs, go ahead and use my Gmail, which is listed here, because I don't have Gmail or Google Docs set up with my work email. Okay. And then the first text you're going to read, or the main text you're going to read, is Whistling Vivaldi. This is a picture of the text and the author. His name is Claude Steele. He is a a former professor at Stanford and Columbia University, and has written this fascinating book about his 25 years of research about stereotypes. And so we're going to read the first 3 chapters and write an essay, and the few other chapters later in the book are going to be used for your research paper. One thing I wanted to mention about when we are online and working together is this idea, you know, if you call out someone, you kind of tell them like if they're kind of being inappropriate. We want to talk about calling in. And so the idea is that if someone makes a mistake online, I'm going to deal with it, but if you feel appropriate to deal with it as well, you want to deal with it gently, let them know you were hurt by their statement, and what that can include is maybe something we don't even realize is a slight or an insult, or a little microaggression, you know, and it could be connected to gender or race or age or occupation, and we want to be very careful that we're respectful to one another no matter what our backgrounds are. Okay, and if you have questions about that, just let me know, or if you feel hurt and I didn't catch it online, please let me know so I can address it for you. Oops, go back one. Ugh, this is sticky. All right, so online there is on your app, if you have an iPhone, there is an app for Canvas, and you can download it to your phone and be able to access the course. I do not recommend that being your primary way to access the course, but it is good to check for online assignments or check your grade or check announcements from me or texts. But you will go to this thing here on my portal to access Canvas. You go to my portal, the student version part, and log into Canvas there, and you'll need your student ID and password to do so. For the online discussions, you want to make sure you're posting original thoughts. If you use quoted material, you have to use quotation marks and cite who said that, particularly if you're getting some outside sources. Proofread for spelling and capitalization. It's not texting. Grammar matters. We want to be clear. But I don't want you to be petrified if you struggle with grammar, that you don't want to pose because you're worried. Try to do your best, but do proofread if possible, and try to be careful. And it is a space where we really don't want to talk about things like, you know, the Giants and 49ers or whatever. You know, you want to focus on the work we're doing. We will have some online discussions where we talk about personal experiences, so you'll have an opportunity for that. But you want to focus pretty much on school stuff, and you could talk to each other outside of class if you really want to on those other things. You always want to add to a discussion. It's not enough to say, oh, I agree with you, or that's cool, or you know, you seem woke, or something like that. That's not enough. We need to kind of add to a discussion by asking a question, probing a little bit, sharing something that's relevant about our own experience with that person. And whenever someone asks a question of you, you want to respond. Don't ignore or ghost them out and not respond at all. Okay, so the theme for this class, we deal with stereotyping, issues of reparations, racial profiling, things that are oftentimes in the news. These pictures, you might recognize some of them from recent news reports. One with the immigration ban, people, Muhammad Ali's son and his wife were stopped at the airport and held for a couple of hours and questioned about their background and whether they should be in the U.S. Another woman was up in the top right, was deported after giving a talk, and then was brought back to the U.S. later after her attorney helped out because she was undocumented, but she was a DACA student, so she should have been protected. And then at the bottom, this man here was an engineer living in Canada and had been killed by someone who thought he was Muslim, though he is Hindu, and sort of some Islamophobia sort of event. So all of these events and many others don't seem to be slowing down lately, have had me question some things. So one about stereotypes and how much students understand how powerful they are and what they can do. Also, whether or not students really understand that America does make mistakes against groups of people and what we've done in the past to address those and what we haven't done. So we're going to deal with that question. And then also, is there really a war against cops, or an increase in police brutality or not? Or are the phones and cameras just documenting what has been happening all along? And so here's a good slide about stereotypes. There's a lot of different ones. So many of you, when you start this project, you might think, well, I'm not stereotyped. I don't know. I don't buy into it. Worrying about stereotypes is like being a victim. And I want you to kind of resist that urge, okay? You know, you could be stereotyped because of your age, your gender, your size, your religion, your belief system. I've had people stereotype because they are atheist, because of what kind of music they listen to, because of the race of their spouse or partner. You know, there's a huge range of things that people can be stereotyped about. So probably everyone is, you know, most people have been, and even if you're not that aware of it, you probably have been. So we want to analyze that a little bit, even if you don't feel like it's impacted you. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to ask, it says 15 minutes on there, but it probably might not take you that long. On your own, I'd like you to do a brainstorm about stereotypes. So you're first going to just list them out. What are all the stereotypes you can think of that you've heard about people that are like you or like other people or groups? They could be ones that seem positive that probably aren't, or other ones that you feel like you've maybe heard a little bit but you're not sure about. There are two online discussions for this week. One is a introduction one where you get to know each other, and a second one is about stereotyping. So you need to kind of think through this before you get to that introduction or into that discussion. So once you deal with that, we want to think about the effects of stereotyping, and we're going to talk about two definitions while you're reading. That's really important, is stereotyping and stereotype threat, and then identity contingency. And so if you struggle with those terms once you finish the reading, let me know and I can go over those with you. And then I really want you to watch this YouTube video. It's a TED Talk by Tasneem Chopra, and she talks at length about stereotyping for her. And this was filmed way before the election. This was filmed in 2012, I believe. So even though she brings up politics, it was way before the election that just recently happened. So I'm curious what you think about this, and this may add, this one could be used as sort of a resource for you for your paper as well. Okay, so what are you going to do first? You're going to get organized, get a space at home where you can work, try to print out the calendar or have a weekly plan. Probably have a folder either on your computer or a physical folder where you print out what you need, or an online folder. Get the book Whistling Vivaldi, start reading. You will need to turn in a summary of the introduction. I have instructions for you on that online. And then let me know if you have questions as we move forward, and then do the two online discussions. So look over the calendar, see what you need, dig into the reading, let me know if you get stuck and I can help you with anything. And be sure you annotate when you read, mark things that stand out to you, and we'll be talking in the next lecture, which I'll post tomorrow, regarding like discussion questions and other things. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.